reading this book. It's called Careless People, and it's written by Sarah Wynne Williams. And she started working for Facebook with that reason, about connection and about social change, and how she slowly but surely realizes this is just one big commercial. This is just about making money. This has nothing to do with connecting people. And what's like the most eye-opening thing about what she realized is that the people who work there, they don't want their kids on social media at all. So none of the people who work there want their kids on social media.
Or they don't even agree what the brand stands for. They're just trying to make money.
Yeah, even though they make it specifically so addictive for children.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to attract children.
Yeah. It's like the people who work at McDonald's would never eat at McDonald's. It's just one of those situations.
Yeah. Hi, and welcome to another episode of No Boundaries, the podcast, Mother and Daughter Edition. We are a mother and daughter duo who discussed controversial topics, having very honest conversations about it, while also exploring our mother and daughter bond. And I'm the mother, and my name is Anousha.
And I'm the daughter, and my name is Lulu. So today we will be talking about a very modern topic. We will be discussing how this new generation of children / teenagers grow up with social media and mobile devices in general, and how that changes the dynamic between a generation that didn't grow up with that, so the parents, and also how that has effects on like development and both socially and everything. So kind of what it's like growing up with social media, especially when you have parents who didn't grow up with social media.
Yeah, and how as a parent to handle that, the mistakes I've made, and hopefully I can help you with that as a mother.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's weird because my generation, like I'm 21 years old, I was born in 2003, and I feel like my generation is a little bit in the middle. Like I can vividly remember when the first phone, like iPhone came out, or the first iPod, or when we could finally make a video for the first time. Like I could really remember when it started. And I think I was probably around like in 6th grade when I had my first phone, or 7th grade. So I'm kind of in this weird turning point where like my teenage years I did grow up with social media, but my youth was without social media. So I kind of got to experience a little bit of both.
Yeah, and it's so because I have 3 children. Lulu is 21, I have a 19-year-old and a 17-year-old, and it's such a big difference between I see how Lulu grew up and the younger ones. Even though there's a 2-year and 4-year age difference, they were
so different.
Yeah, they were already. Everyone already when they were small had phones, even in school, even in primary school. So for me to keep them off phones and keep them off iPads was really a battle. So that is a very big difference. Okay, let's dive in. So the main thing is, as parents, we had no idea what to do. We were sort of like, grasping around us, talking to other parents. Articles were just beginning to come out, what the effects were of children. And of course, it was a lot of fear also, a lot of fear mongering. And I remember when I grew up, the big, monster was television. So TV was considered very dangerous. People would even say, even in the newspapers, like if children sit too close, they ruin their eyes and, they ruin their brain, which all turned out not to be true. Apparently, it doesn't even have a huge effect on your ears or eyes if you're really close, if you watch TV really close to the screen. But that was the main thing. But there was not a lot of television. When I was small, I'm Generation X. So TV, literally, I remember there would be no TV in the daytime, and you would see when TV would start up, like at 6 p.m. something would change on the screen, and there's only TV. And plus, when I was small, there were only like 2 channels. So that was it, and it would stop at a certain point. And it was really a special thing to be allowed watching TV as a child.
And I think an important point of there only being 2 channels is that it was the case for everyone in your neighborhood as well. So even if you were like online or watching something, everyone was watching it, so it still brings you together as like a social community.
Absolutely, and there would be TV programs for children, or later like series we would all watch, and everybody would watch that at the same time. And you wouldn't discuss it during watching like now. now sometimes, you watch a show or like, especially like with Love Island or whatever, like funny reality
And you're like on
programs.
Twitter or
Yeah.
texting people while you're watching it.
Exactly. And then, no, you didn't. You would just watch it very concentrated and you would talk about it the next day. So you would think about it sort of like yourself, have to sort of form your own kind of opinion. And then the next day you would kind of discuss it. Like they would call it, when I was, growing up, water cooler moments. Like in the office, there's a water cooler. And then at the water cooler, people would talk about the show they had seen the night before. So did the show have a certain water cooler moment? So it was, like you said, it was a very communal kind of feeling because there wasn't a lot of choice. Now, sometimes I have the feelings as a grown-up, so I just want to know what it's like for a young person. I'm completely in my own bubble, watching something on TikTok or on other social media. I completely think that, everybody is, knows about this. And then I ask you, and you're like, I have no idea. This did not come up to my For You page. I have no idea what you're talking about. And in my head, the whole world knows about it. So that is so different, so weird.
Yeah.
So do your friends like watch the same thing as you? Or do you sometimes get completely like surprised by what the bubble your friends are in?
Yeah, it depends. I think the biggest difference is in the past, technology was very like more generic and now it's very personalized. So people really see things that are significant to them. And I think that's mainly because now social media platforms are more focused on marketing because that's where they make the most revenue. So all they care is providing you with stuff that makes you more likely to interact and engage and share and buy stuff eventually. So it's very like personalized. So a lot of my friends see things that I haven't seen, but it's not surprising because I know their character. Like if one of my friends is a skater and they get all these skating TikToks, that makes sense because they skate. Mm-hmm. And it makes sense that I don't get them because I don't skate. It's very like personalized. So yeah, I wouldn't really say it's surprising. And it's weird because there's moments where people come together and where there's like a hype around a show and then everyone's watching it and talking about it. And those are definitely still my favorite moments because it's so fun to see all these different opinions and to hear everyone talking about it, and you form a way deeper connection with the show that you're watching. Like, I love it when something gets trendy because then there's a conversation instead of I've seen it and I ask my friends and they're all like, I don't know. Then it kind of ends there. There's not much more to say about it.
Yeah. And plus also what I think is so different now, going back to growing up and, the difference between now and then. Like we would all watch the same thing. We would all kind of listen to the same music. And for instance, if we would be in the car, go on vacation or go somewhere, the kids, even if different generations, it would be the same thing. Maybe not completely the same music, but mostly the same music, even same series. And we would all talk about it in the car, watch something or listen to something together, tell our parents or family members about it, what was going on, right? And now I remember with you guys in the car, you all have your own device, your own phone, your headphones on. And if we drive somewhere, it could be that we drive, I'm maybe exaggerating a bit, but 3 hours in silence because all three of you do your own thing.
I disagree because I'm always on aux for the whole car and I'm always yapping it up.
No, you're yapping it up and you're making music, but you know what I mean?
But my siblings, they have their own headphones, their own music. Even if we're playing music on a speaker, they're doing their own thing.
Yeah, so that is a difference, right? So you like to play music with all of us.
Yeah.
They like to do their own thing, and even, if we do communal music, they have their own music. And the same thing, you like to still watch stuff with us.
Yeah.
The other two I have to force to watch a show kind of together. Like, hey, let's watch this. Where I grew up, that was the most fun thing, to watch something together with the whole family. Watch each other's shows, watch each other's things. We would all watch. And now, if I don't say anything, if I just let them be, the kids come home, they say hi, and we forced, to eat all together. We have family dinner together. But after that and before that, they're in their room. Like, the whole night. And
that's definitely a big thing. Like, if you guys, because my parents, they like make sure that they clean the house, like that my siblings clean the house and eat dinner as a family, etc. But if they weren't doing that, we would like literally never see my siblings. And I moved out and I live alone. And I still, literally, if I see my parents are home or someone's home, I come here to do my homework. Even if we're just sitting in silence and my mom was like doing her research and I'm doing my homework, it's still like a nice feeling for me to have people in the room. And the amount of times that I'm like, we're sitting and out of nowhere my mom will call my sister or my brother and I'm like, they're home? And my mom's like, yeah, they've been here the whole time. I'm like, what? Like I don't even realize when they're home or when they're not home because they're always in their room.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like very different from the newer generation. And that's where I'm kind of like in between.
Yeah.
Because so I think we should go back to like when all of it started and when like phones started coming out. So I remember specifically when the first iPhone came out and you could take pictures on it, but no videos yet. And I remember Papa bought it right away. And I remember he picked me up from school and showed it and I couldn't believe my eyes. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then slowly but surely they became more popular and like parents started getting their kids iPhones. So when that became like conversation, how did you guys feel about getting us an iPhone and why did you guys end up giving us an iPhone? I remember we got it at a younger age than most kids in the class. So yeah, I'm curious.
Okay, in my memory, it wasn't that you were like one of the youngest, but one of the reasons why it was difficult for me to say no is I love technology myself. I think it's really fun and there's really also, I think, a very educational element to it. For instance, I've said often I've written 2 like really researched books about a social construct, about, you know, racism in the Netherlands, about education and racism. And I could have never written those books without the internet. You know, as a mother of 3 children, and I was working full time as an actor, you know, and producing things, I could have never done that research if I had to go physically to libraries, you know, and go to archivals and interview everybody without Zoom or a mobile phone.
Shout out to those who did.
Yeah, shout out to those who did. That's why it was also less, not always shout out, because that's why it was less possible for women, because, you know, somebody had to be with the children. And the fact that I could do it online and had internet made such a difference in my life. So I'm positive also about a lot of technology. So I felt like, hey, if there's something you can listen to music and we can do things together, and there's really fun and great games you can play, you know, I think if we do it, we should experiment and look at it as a family, not be afraid. Plus, as you know, your dad is a workaholic and he always works. He's always researching. I work a lot. I always research. So literally your first word was mom. Your second word was laptop. And your third word was daddy.
Oh.
So the laptop already played such a big, you know, element, such a big role in your life growing up. We couldn't ignore it.
Yeah.
You know? So that in combination with, I saw other people, other parents that I kind of trusted and like do, I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's, you know, it's time. We were not allowing it at night. We would take it away. We would literally say, no, we paid for the iPhone. I'm taking it away now. You know, it's not that it was 24/7. It was allowed. And I would literally say, yeah, you can have it when it suits me. What I liked about it is that it can give you a certain, you know, way to research, freedom, games, music, to kind of like explore the world, open up your eyes to bigger and better things. I always like that. And because I had so many positive experiences with it myself. I was also doing a lot of activism at that time in the Netherlands. And I could have not done that activism again, being a mother, writing, working, you know, performing in the evenings without social media. And that's where I think the balance can shift. I think social media changed a lot, right? So you have internet and you can research stuff and you can find things and whatever, you can go to websites, but then social media came and that has a specific, you know, algorithm that wants you to stay on that site and sell stuff to you. And that is when it's difficult as a parent not to lose control. And that's why I also messed up and made mistakes.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea, or I was naive about those effects, about that addictiveness of that.
Yeah. And how it leads you to addiction for like video games or buying stuff or fake news, etc. And also how much it can limit people from making actual social interactions. Like, and I am a victim to that too. Like there's people who I have a relationship with over text, but in real life I don't. Or people who, or certain conversations that are like easier to have over text than in real life. And like there's such a difference between a texting and personal relationship. And it could be like, I've had situations where I bonded with someone so good over text, but then in real life it was not the vibe. Because it's so different the way you talk on text, because you get to think through what you're saying. And there's a book that I read, it's called The Idiot. And there it talks about like when email first arrived and this girl has like a romantic connection with this guy through email, but then later in person it's very different when they finally start hanging out, and it's very confusing because they want to make it work because they know there's that side of them where they very connect, but at the same time it's so different in real life because you don't get to think 2 hours for where you're going to respond. You don't get to rewrite or retype it, or you don't get to say it in the best way possible. So it's very interesting how it also changed social interactions and connections as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was different for me, and maybe that's why I was naive in activism, because we had, the same like anti-racist, ideal, what we were fighting. So the people I met through social media, who were all, we were all passionate about that topic, when we would meet in real life at, a protest or rallies, it would be wonderful because, we had the same goal. So it wasn't so much about friendship, but fighting, together.
Right, it's a different relationship.
A non-violent good fight. So that's a very different relationship. So I was maybe a little naive in letting you guys kind of like explore in that, because I felt like, hey, there's a good side to it. There's a beautiful side to it. I was still hopeful that there was a positive revolution maybe kind of brewing or happening that would change the world for better. I kind of believe like social media can really connect us. And now I'm reading this book. It's called Careless People, and it's written by Sarah Wynne Williams, and she worked for Facebook like from the early start. And her boss, Mark Zuckerberg, tried to ban this book for years, but it's not banned. She is sort of like me, like from like a social perspective. She thought, this is incredible, this can change the world. She always wanted to work in global politics, and she started working for Facebook with that reason, about connection and about social change, and how she slowly but surely realizes, this is just one big commercial. This is just about making money. This has nothing to do with connecting people. And what's like the most eye-opening thing about what she realized is that the people who work there, they don't want their kids on social media at all. So none of the people who work there want their kids on social media.
Or they don't even agree what the brand stands for. They're just trying to make money.
Yeah, even though they make it specifically so addictive for children.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to attract children.
Yeah. It's like the people who work at McDonald's would never eat at McDonald's. It's just one of those situations.
Yeah.
So I think the two main factors that created a shift in different generations and also issues with raising children or the upbringing of children is definitely like the marketing / addiction loop of social media and the social interaction loop of social media. I think we should touch on social interactions first because that one is more relatable to me as well, and then we can go into the addiction part. As for social interactions, I think the first time I realized as a child that it had a negative effect on me was because I think that it definitely started my social anxiety. And I think because I was always a very social kid, my parents know that, and one of my teachers, they thought I had anxiety or like was sensitive to anxiety, and my parents were like, what are you talking about? I would host shows every week. I was friends with everyone, and I was always talking, and I would get kicked out of class because I was so loud. So people were like, what are you talking about? Like, she's not anxious at all. I would run away from home, all that stuff. But when social media, and I remember when I got Instagram and Facebook Messenger, it definitely was the first time I experienced social anxiety. And it was a very specific memory I have where there was this guy who asked for my Messenger, and we exchanged messengers in real life. He asked it, and then we started texting a lot on Messenger all the time. But then when I would see him in real life, I would be so nervous and so awkward, and I would barely speak to him, and I would totally like ruin it. And this would just kind of go on, and we would both be super nervous, and neither of us would even say hi or talk to each other. And it made this whole weird thing where, because we were talking so much on text, but we weren't seeing each other in real life, I created this whole big scenario where it was like so much pressure to see them, or like scary to see them, or I was nervous to see them.
So how old were you?
Maybe like both about. So like probably like, how old am I?
11?
Like 9, 10.
9, 10. And he was a guy like same age?
Yeah.
Okay, just to be clear. Yeah.
And that happened often to my friends as well. Like all of us, it was normal. We were texting a guy that we were in a relationship with or that we liked. But in real life, it would be like super awkward, or all our friends had to push each other to talk, or like it was a group thing, and I remember being so nervous and feeling so stupid going home. And that's like a big thing that I realized that happened through social media. And genuinely, if I would have formed that connection organically, I don't think it would have happened, because there were certain guys that lived in my street that I would always hang out with, where I had the same dynamic with, and I was never as nervous or scared, or it was never this big thing that I would have run away from. And that's like stupid boy stuff, but that's really where it started, which goes further into when there was certain social interactions for school or interviews that were actually needed, where I didn't have the nerves or braveness to do it. And then I had parents who didn't understand that, because like when it came to like talking to certain people, they're like, why don't you just go up and talk to them? But they don't understand, like, oh, we've been texting, so you don't really go up to each other. It's weird. It's this thing. It's just, that's the first time where I realized that gap. It's hard to put to words.
Yeah, and just so I understand, this was a boy from your school, so you would see him in school every day.
No, he was from a different school,
Yeah.
but we would go to the same playground. So that's where we met.
Yeah, so you would see him. So if it would have happened, say, naturally, you would have just
Yeah.
played on the playground
Yeah.
and slowly but surely started talking.
But the only interaction we ever had was him asking for my messenger because he thought I was pretty. We exchanged info, texting, and then it got so awkward. And then the next time when my friends wanted to go to that playground, I was way too nervous to go, and I made up a fake excuse, didn't go. So then that's another week that goes by where I don't see him, but we're still texting. And that build up of not seeing each other and texting, and then when we did finally run into each other, it was like unexpected, weird, nervous, scary. Oh my God, like, and it was this whole awkward thing.
And how did that then translate to more so that was, because from my perspective, being small and liking a guy and not talking or only looking at each other, very normal to be stressed out about that. How can you make the connection so we understand how that kind of translated into you not being able to do other social functions?
So it started with a boy.
Yeah.
Then it would be with friends. It would be so easy to compliment girls on Instagram, and you become friends through Instagram. You comment on each other's pictures, bestie, love you, babe. But in real life, you don't hang out, you don't see each other. And then when you do run into each other, it's like this thing where it's like we've been texting all this time, we haven't seen each other, like this is weird. And yeah, so it will start with boys, then it goes to friendships, and then it continues on to the point where I think as a kid without social media, it's also nerve-wracking to talk to a boy or make friends, but you're kind of more forced to do it.
You have, yeah.
Just like when you learn to do presentations, everyone is nervous,
Yeah,
but you're forced to do it
Yeah.
to get a good grade. And it was the same with interaction with friends and boys, which those interactions are important to get like, to become like socially intelligent, to become likable, to know how to talk to people, to know how to interact, to understand how different people with different families and cultures act. But if you don't learn that and you're hiding behind text, then when you're older and you actually have to, for example, network or socialize, it's so much harder to do it because you've never been forced to do it.
No.
You've always had the luxury to just hide behind a text and choose to not go to the places where you know you might run into them.
And we had so many social interactions as children. So as a child in school, you would go to school every day, you would see each other. You have to play. If you stayed, like my mom worked, so I had to stay with other kids who I didn't really know for lunch. Some kids would go home. We would stay in school. There would be kids you also didn't know. And there was nothing else to do but talk with each other because there was no, you would have to play games with each other. There was nothing you could do alone. Yeah, maybe read. After school, some kids would stay later in school whose parents worked. It was the same. And it could be, again, another group. Or you go to your sport clubs. We would go on our own with the group. And then you have other kids who you don't know or not in your school who are in my case, field hockey club. In the weekends, you play with different teams. We'd have parties. We would go away on weekends. Again, other kids. Vacation, you meet other kids. So we had so many forced interactions on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis that even if you were afraid shitless, you had to do something, especially me as an only child, or you would just be alone. So yeah, and that has really, really completely shifted.
Yeah.
It's complete, and we would write each other, so once a year, we would write in each other's poetry album, like sweet messages to each other in a book, but you would take it home, write it home, put stickers in, and then give it to your friends.
Right.
But that was once a year. But you guys would do that every day, right? After school.
Yeah. And that's another thing. If you text so much, then what does it talk about in real life? If you text it, like every thought that pops in your head, you're immediately texting that instead of waiting till you see them and then you can speak about it. And on text, the conversation is shorter than it would be in real life. So again, it just completely limits the things that you can talk about when you do finally see them, which is also a thing. Like not only does it limit conversation, it also mixing this whole scary thing where it's like we've been texting all this time, but we haven't seen each other. And when we do see each other, it's going to be this thing and it's going to be nerve-wracking. So yeah, it created a lot of anxiety for social interactions, for sure, especially when you can just hide my text and avoid it. But one big thing that I want to say that I think made a difference between my siblings and me, like they were a little younger when social media became active than me, but technically we both grew up with social media. But I think what saved me is that in the Netherlands, it's very safe and open and everyone lives close to each other. So still, you're way more likely to run into people. Like you don't leave your house without running into someone. And on top of that, you can just easily go to people's house all the time because everyone's close by, riding your bike. It's safe. It stays light out till late in the summer. People go to the same schools. Everyone knows each other. And everyone is in some type of sports club, which is with different people from your school. And that's different because in New York, fast forward where we moved, where my siblings still went to elementary school here. I didn't. I went to middle school. I went to high school here. Yeah. Is that in America, there's way more danger. So parents are already limiting their kids a lot more than in Europe. So kids already have to stay in the house a lot more. And it's way rarer for people to have sleepovers and play dates. And it's already harder for them to socialize. On top of that, here, most of the sports teams are part of your school. If you want to play outside of your school, that costs extra money. So most people play inside their school, which is, again, the same people from your school. Yeah. Whereas for us, we had sports club with different schools. So, again, a limiting of connections. So it's already pretty limited here. And to then have social media on top of it, where that way it was for kids easier to deal with their parents being strict because the parents are limiting them and strict and keeping them in the room. But at least they can still text their friends and talk to boys and do all that on their phone. So then they'd be more likely to agree with the strict rules and they're going to be less motivated to protest and go out and do their thing. So I think that's what created this very big room culture that in America, to my knowledge, most kids, they grew up being in their room. And a lot of my friends in college now even, they didn't get like social hangouts and interaction as much as until college because you dorm and you all live together and you all hang out together. But in high school, it's just you go to school, you come home and go to your room, do your homework, and you're on social media.
Yeah, and I was naive about that when we moved here because looking at like teenage movies that are all sort of like in the suburbs, you think, oh, you see, that's what American life is. So I told the kids, oh, you're gonna make friends and have sleepovers. And I thought, especially where we live, I thought, oh, there's gonna be way more social interaction and there's like a dance club and like it's all on the island. And of course you're gonna spend more nights together and have sleepovers. And none of that happens. And that was really shocking to me. Like, okay, I get it, but wow, this is really different. And you guys were, especially the younger ones, were not prepared for that.
No, and my parents tried to get them out and tried to talk to other parents. Yeah. But if my parents are the only ones who are allowing our kids to hang out and be social and all the other parents are very overprotective, then it fizzles out. At some point you have to give up. Like, there's only so much you guys were able to do. So then, my siblings didn't have another option than to like hang out in a room too and get in this bubble. And that is where the addiction part comes in.
And then COVID hit. So can you imagine? Then you had to stay in one place.
Well, let's focus on addiction.
Yeah, but all of that together made it also for us very difficult to intervene when, okay, at least you have that. Yeah. So we came in the situation where we didn't even know, even though my husband is a psychiatrist, it was very difficult. We didn't know what to do. Yeah. We didn't know what to do because they were in their rooms 24/7 on that thing. We had to work with them. They had to, we had to kind of like, we were happy that they had to do school on their devices. So you don't...
You can't even take it away.
You can't take it away. You can't, and even at night it was difficult to take it away. It felt really weird to be very strict at night. Like, no, you have to give it now. Even though you had to get up early and whatever. Set alarms or whatever. Your alarm, everything is on the thing. The connection you had with your Dutch friends who were 6 hours ahead was also through, all the devices. We were like, we were caught. We were really, caught in it.
So the first dangerous element is how social media affects social interactions between youth. But similarly, how it goes into this addiction cycle. So as I mentioned, especially in America, parents are already very strict with their children. And social media only made that worse because that way parents could listen to their kids could listen to their parents, stay in their room all day, so that their parents aren't bothered, and they think, okay, at least my child is at home, they're safe, they're not doing anything. Meanwhile, they're living a whole different life on social media that no one has any idea about, and that's how they're getting all their information, their social interactions, and all their like developments for like again social intelligence and all that stuff, which is very important later on in your career field. So that's completely hindered. But yeah, because they're always in their room on social media, which gets them what they need, they're more likely to get stuck in addiction cycles and wanting this quick dopamine, aka gaming, gamers, or even reality shows, streaming shows. Those are not as innocent either. But I think gaming is definitely one of the biggest ones where parents really get hopeless. Like I think because with social media and TikTok and films, at least you'd maybe learn some lessons about friendship, community, about racism, education, anything. But gaming is very like it's pointless. There's really nothing you learn from it or gain from it. It's just quick dopamine addiction, and yeah, I think that's what a lot of parents are most concerned about, and as well as how long these kids can game. Like they will lose sleep, lose food, lose anything over it, because when they're gaming, time flies and there's a whole different world, and they fully lose touch for reality. No. So I think that's one thing that not only scares parents the most, it's also one thing that parents understand the least. Like I remember my dad would literally get fed up when my siblings would try to convince him about this game, because he could generally not see the point and purpose for watching something on a screen and getting coins on a screen that doesn't add any type of value to your real life at all. Like he couldn't get it. So that definitely created a big gap.
Yeah, and the phone calls we had to make to Apple, to whatever, to Google, to get literally sometimes thousands of dollars for coins that like some cute cat could have like cute white pumps or something that the children would do at a young age. That was really frightening and like unbelievable. Like how those and how what Apple would already have in their cycle already, that your credit card, everything was already connected, and if the kids would just press one kind of button, $200 was gone. And if you weren't really strict with calling and being difficult, you would just lose that money. Mm-hmm. That of course, thank God, I think now has changed. It's a little better.
It's stricter, but it's constantly there. There's constantly I try to do pop-ups of like, buy this, get this, and oh no, if you do this, then you'll win. If you do this, you get it. It's like, it's basically like a casino. Like it's literally like a casino for children. And yeah, it was big on advertisements to buy things in the game or buy other gadgets and upgrades. But now recently, what a lot of people are talking about is that now, and I've seen it too, because I have little guys. I do my little games sometimes too. I have these not board, but this little game that I play on the train or whatever. It's like a puzzle game. But a big thing now in games is that these people are already a target for addiction because they're already addicted to gaming. So now gamers are getting all these advertisements for betting. And now betting is a very big issue amongst my generation specifically. Almost all my guy friends, they bet on sports games constantly. And I didn't realize, but now when I go on my games, all my advertisements are about betting now too. That's like the new thing that everyone's doing, like betting on sports games. Yeah. Constantly. It's like this, which is also, it works like a game. You're clicking these things, you're guessing, you're putting little amounts and maybe getting a lot back, which is, it's basically a casino, but then legal for everyone.
And you can do 24/7.
24/7. You don't have to walk in, you don't have to do anything.
And I have no idea. And sometimes what I feel very guilty about, that I'm like, you know what, not right now in my life, I can't go there. I don't want to know. Sometimes I really want to know. Sometimes something happens, like when we spoke about adolescence, whatever, that was like a big wake-up call. And, speak to my son, especially, boys, it's very sensitive, difficult period, for boys. And I speak to him and we, got him back into like, getting on his bike. He does physical training now and he does more, goes out. But sometimes also, I'm like, what can I do? I do this, I do that. He goes to school. He goes to sports, he helps in the house, he helps me with cooking and everything. Do I have to like monitor him 24/7? I know he games. I know. I know it happens for hours.
It's like, it's one of those bittersweet moments where my brother, he'll do he's a very good kid. Like, genuinely, like, when my parents tell him, hey, like, cook for the family or help us do this or can you look for this, he always does it. He gets up, he does it. He, like, helps so
Very
much
caring.
in the house. Super caring. He does everything he needs to do. He goes to school. He does his homework. And he's very caring in the house. No, okay. But he does his homework when you guys tell him to do it. But the point is,
Normal 19
he
year
does things that he needs to do.
Yeah.
But if my parents wouldn't make him do these things, and it's just up to him, it would be gaming 24/7. And every single second where he's not required to do a task, he's gaming 24/7. That's like it. It's either he does something he needs to do because my parents told him, or he's gaming. No difference. That's it. Those are the two things.
I know.
Which is like, it's hard to watch.
It's very hard. And I'm like with friends and making friends, and even at, in college and friends, they all game.
Working, something,
Yeah, they all game. So he has more friends sort of online than in real life. But even with you and I notice when we watch a movie, you're always also on your phone. Mm-hmm. Even with a beautiful, emotional...
No, if it's really beautiful, I'm not. And if it's a different
often.
language, it's also not. For me, it's more like, I have a hard time focusing. Like, I do the same when I listen to a podcast or when I watch a movie. I usually play with something in my hand, or I play like a little puzzle game. It's something that doesn't require anything of my brain. It's just like...
No, but that is something that's very different with... I had friends who were nervous and whatever.
This girl is very hypocritical because she's always playing her little solitaire game while watching TV too, so...
No, not all the time. Absolutely
As
not
often
all
as
the
I
time.
do.
No, that's not true. No.
But anyways,
No.
when it's a really
No.
beautiful movie, I don't, guys.
I don't. Not when I watch a movie. If I watch a reality program on my own, yeah, then I'll play solitaire. But not if I watch a movie. No, because I always say, like, let's watch the start together. Come on, guys. I always want it to be like a communal experience. And even when we went, if we're honest and talking about hypocritical, even when we went to the theater, Lulu, I had to ask you, can you turn off your phone?
Why was I on my phone during the ads? What was the other reason I was on my phone? To make a picture, because Pride and Prejudice was on the big screen and I was never ever going to be able to see that again. And I wanted to document it. Yeah. My bad. Yeah. Goodbye.
It's
Anyway.
different from... You know what? I'm just going to experience this. And this is just my experience with my family. I don't have to share it with anyone else.
Okay.
Let's talk about that, because I find that so interesting that has completely changed. Like, so many experiences now are shared like right away at the moment, not afterwards, that you like, again, like going back to the water.
I shared it after I posted it. I mean, after I watched the movie. I didn't share it during the movie. I just took a picture.
Yeah, but you already know that. So like my generation, you don't even think about that. You just, we're here together, it's so nice, because we went with the whole family. Well, not my son, unfortunately, but with the girls, we all, we went, and I wanted it to be together,
and it was.
But it's already important for your generation to make sure that then later on you share it.
It was important for me because I knew a lot of my friends who are film people, because I'm a film major, weren't going to be able to see it in the big screen. It was only limited to theaters, so I wanted to at least have some pictures to show them that this is how it looks on the big screen. As
opposed to, this is just my experience, and I'll tell them about it.
Yeah, I did both. I told them and I showed it, and they were very excited that they got to see it.
Yeah, okay, Lulu. Of course you're right, but that is really different.
No, it's definitely different, but I don't think it's different in the same way as the whole gaming cycle in the room. And even
I'm not saying that, but certain things have really changed.
Yeah, for sure, I agree.
You don't just do it together anymore as a family. And like, it's always only when we have dinner or whatever, everything has to be documented. Oh, let's take a picture before we eat. Or let's, I mean, that...
You always are the one who wants to take selfies when we're at dinner. And then we'll be like, no. Or Papa will randomly put his phone up.
Well, yeah, because I want to share it with the grandparents because they don't see you a lot.
And I wanted to share with my friends because they didn't get to see the movie.
Yeah, but it's not as often as you guys do it. No.
But
it's not the same.
Whatever. I think we're getting off topic. The point is...
No, but there is a big shift now. And
for sure.
Maybe you don't like to look at yourself. I don't mind looking at myself. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's also a shift with me that I also think, let's document this.
Yeah,
that's something like whatever.
It's everywhere,
15 years ago, I would never think, wait a minute, should we share this? Yeah. No, I would just live.
But I think, the documenting and sharing is definitely a new thing. But I think it still plays in the role of having conversation, having discussion, sharing it with people, and it brings you closer and it connects you to people. So I still think that's kind of in the same as natural human connection, in the sense where you find common ground and connect over it. Whereas with gaming in your room 24/7,
Absolutely.
no type of connection with real life, real world. You're making fake money on a fake world, doing fake shooting and killing. It doesn't have any type of connections to anything you're doing in real life whatsoever. It's literally two separate lives that you're living.
Yeah.
And people can argue saying that, yeah, I talk to all my friends on the game and I'm always social in the game, but you're only social in the game about that fake reality, that fake world, and planning on how to shoot these people and how to kill and how to win. You're not actually like social as a conversation, which is a thing in general in American culture that my parents hate. How whenever you have a hangout with a group of friends, people want to play some type of game instead of just having a conversation.
Let's talk.
But video games does that in the same way, and it's good to have a balance. Again, I like to play a video game here once in a while. I like to play drinking games and card games once in a while. I'm competitive. I love it, but playing a game with a group of people is not the same as having a conversation or connecting with a group of people. It's two separate things, because I can easily have so much fun playing a sports game or a card game with somebody who I dislike as a human being. You don't need to have a connection to be good at playing a card game together. Like, you really don't.
And the thing is, real connection also does stuff to your brain and makes you feel healthy. Literally,
exactly. Yeah.
Gives life. So what for me was also two moments that I found like, wow, this is, so difficult and something has to happen, is one of my friends was here with their child, and the child was for the first time the child was in New York City.
I know.
And the child, was just not getting off the device. So the parent had to really negotiate with the child, like, hey, we're going to do this, like make a plan, do that. Otherwise, the child was not even interested in being in the city and even being with us for, not interested. You can tell it was not about, I don't like it here, there was just another completely different concentration. And that's something I've also seen with my own child, with my son, that when we had family over and we wanted to do stuff together, if we would not be very deliberate, make plans and really make deals and hours and schedules, my child would just,
Which is hard, because you want to spend time with your kids and you also want to raise them. But at the same time, it's painful and it sucks if you force your kid and then they're there, but you feel bad as well, because they're only there because you're forcing them, and you can see that they're actively not having a good time, which is not what you want either. So it's, again, finding that balance is hard.
But I'm going to be controversial here, because I'm like, you have to push, because I always see such a difference. So when I forced my son to go out with his family, take the bike, go into town, do stuff, of course he didn't want to. It took a while. I had to take away his laptop. He was, literally going through depression to get out of it. He didn't want to leave, even, get up and take a shower. It took about 1 or 2 days. But when he got out of that, and I was like, you have to go now. And the worst thing is, I had to say, after that, you can game. When I said that, he got up. So he got up, he got dressed, he went out, he had lots of fun with the family. He was with his bike, he was outside, and that got him out of that funk, really. And then after that, it wasn't that he just went back straight again to his room and went after that thing, behind the laptop.
But he did, that's my point.
No, but we did cook first, we ate together, there was more happiness. Like I said before, the reason why I want to reiterate, and even if it's controversial, I'm gonna keep pushing this, just like with any kind of addiction, and like we said with free parenting, you have to keep offering the alternative. You have to.
I agree with the offering.
Offering
Always
alternative,
offer it.
and also forcing. As a parent, at some point, you also have to reinforce and take the adult role. Not fun, but you have to take the adult role. And even my husband and I are not the same in that. He feels more like, oh, he's 19, he has to make up his own mind. And I'm like, I don't care. Your brain is not fully developed until you're 25. You're going to learn from me. I want to be that annoying voice you hear in your head when you're 35 that told you to clean your room, take a shower, get up, get out, have breakfast, all those things. And also get out, do something, and make connections. So that is my stance, and I will die on that hill.
Okay. I don't fully agree, because he still goes back in that cycle, and even though you force him and he might have a little bit of a moment with us,
Yeah.
he goes home and does the same thing. And the next time we go on a family trip, it's the same story all over
Yeah.
again. And you've been doing this for at least 5 years,
Yeah.
6 years,
Yeah. And I'll keep doing it.
and it's never progressed at all.
You know, to me, the glass is always half full. That's just, you know, my Bakosi, where I'm from, West Africa, my dad, I really have that mentality. So I will die fighting the positive good fight. I don't care because, hey, what can I do? I can be negative about it and be like, well, he's 19, he can do what he wants, or not. And I've made a conscious decision, I'm not. If there's things I think I still have the strength to try to change, I will do that because I hope that at some point it will resonate, at least, you know, drop. Even if you drip, at some point the glass will be full. So I hope by even with the little drops I do give, at some point there'll be a turnaround. I may be wrong, but I live and I'm dying
I hope so,
in hope.
And I hope you're right.
That's me.
I hope you're right because although I don't fully agree with this method, at the same time I don't have a better alternative. I really don't. I wouldn't know what to do. Honestly, I don't know. And I've never been a parent, so obviously I don't know even more so. So yeah, at least you have a plan and you have a mission and you're positive, which is good.
I'm always positive. I try to be always positive. But we want to hear from you guys because maybe I'm completely wrong. I really love to hear how other people, other parents handle this, what to do. And, you know, I'm also very curious, parents with younger children, how you're handling it now.
Yeah.
Because now it's almost, you know, I know parents with younger kids who do not allow their kids on their phone, like not until they're at least whatever, I think.
And I want to know if
12 or 13.
I want to know if that works out or if that makes the kids only more angry or secretive, like how we spoke about when you limit your kids from experimenting, going to parties, having relationships, doing drugs. They're only more likely to like do it in a safe manner. I wonder if with social media and iPhones and like preventing your kids from it, if it's gonna have that same pattern that will backfire later on. I'm very curious on that.
Or not.
And also,
because your brain needs to develop.
yeah, and also to the iPad kids and their parents. And for those who don't know what an iPad kid is, it's those families that bring their babies, literal babies, into restaurants with a big, huge iPad with a pink, bright case, headphones, and just a video that they're watching the whole time. I'm always like, yo, at that point, have the kid at home with a babysitter or a daycare or like, why is the kid there in a restaurant with the iPad on screen? I get it. It's like you want to do your thing and this way your kid is distracted, but at the same time, and this is not a kid who can speak and say, give me the iPad. No, I'm talking about literal baby childs.
And so much also has to do, again, with privilege. Because if you are like the parents I know who are not allowing their child to be on social media or any device, whatever, and she's, you know, a child, they have the means.
They're the wealthy ones, yeah.
They're wealthy, so their kid is so busy all the time. And
all these
even
clubs and activities.
Clubs and activities and amazing, like young, fun... My daughter, my youngest, babysitter who, you know, goes out with the child, whatever. That's amazing. Incredible.
Like your daughter is the babysitter.
Yeah, my daughter is the babysitter. So, you know, that's incredible. And when we were at home, especially in the Netherlands, we also had more, you know, we had an au pair, you know, who would take, but you guys went to ballet, to sports, to whatever. There were so many alternatives.
And I know a lot of friends of mine who didn't have that privilege to have a babysitter growing up, and instead they would either get an iPad to play with so that they won't bother their mom, and they would be forced to go with their mom to like work or to like adult stuff that they found boring. So then, they rather just play on their iPad because then at least they won't complain to their mom about being there. So again, so unfair, so unequal. And also, I think social media makes children more impulsive as well because they're more likely to click things and buy things, and in a way that you don't really feel the consequences of it as much, and you get this quick, you click and buy and you immediately get the coins for this game. So again, it's this quick dopamine where you become impulsive because you're getting a reward right away, which makes your brain think that this is like a good thing you're doing, and then you later get hit with the consequences. So
and what to do, we're
figuring it out.
We're figuring it out. We're all figuring it out.
We're all figuring out. We're all here. So I guess this was more of a ranting / seeking for help / relating with those who are also going through it rather than us giving you guys advice.
No,
So
yeah, not today.
apologies for that.
Give us advice. Give me advice. No, we're here, and as always, you know, we're here to learn. We're here to talk, and I love you. I love me, and we love y'all.